in the holiday season of Easter. And the dangers that has for a Muslim is monumental, it's phenomenal. And we as Muslims need to understand this and why. We should know that Easter is a Christian festivity and has no relationship with Islam. And for the ones who may be listening or for the ones who may see this later on, we are not raising questions against the Christian faith. Every person has their faith. The Prophet ﷺ was told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the surah, the Holy Quran, that when they come to you and they don't listen to you, say to them, لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين. But I'm not going to translate the entire surah, but the last sentence, the Prophet ﷺ said to them, لكم دينكم ولي دين. That for you is your religion, for us is our religion. And everybody has a right to their religion. But a Muslim in 21st century Western civilization is moving away from the true teachings of Islam when it comes to in relation to Easter. Either there is no knowledge about what Easter is all about. And if there is any knowledge, then we tend to dilute ourselves. And we find, as I say, many Muslims involved in these activities of festivity of Easter. In true reality, Islam is totally contrary to Islam. Easter is totally contrary to Islam. It goes against the teachings of the Quran, and it goes against the teachings of the words of the Prophet ﷺ. Children are educated in school about Isa ala Nabiyyina alayhi salatu wassalam. That he is either the son of God, his mother was Mary, his father was Joseph. These are the teachings in school. And we find in school assemblies and plays and all these activities take place. And a Muslim child, a Muslim adult is made to believe that these things are true. Because our knowledge in the Quran is very limited. Everything we receive in the school education system is only that we know. To the extent we find adults, when you ask them, who is the father of Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, they respond to you, Joseph, the person with the multicolored jacket. So, these things are totally contrary to Islam. And today I'd like to mention and educate myself and all brothers and sisters on these basic principles and tenets of faith. Children are believed and taught, and all of us are taught, that Isa alayhi salatu wasalam died on the cross. Easter is celebrated on this belief. Easter is celebrated on the crucifixion of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam on the cross, and his rebirth or his resurrection 3 days later. So the Christian belief is on Good Friday, which is next Friday coming up. On Good Friday, Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, on the Maundy Thursday. Maundy Thursday is the day when Isa alayhi salatu, according to the Christian belief, is the day when Isa alayhi salatu wassalam had his last meal with his companions. And then on Good Friday, it is the belief of the Christian faith that Isa alayhi salatu wasalam was tortured and he was put on the cross and he was crucified. He died and he remained dead for those 2 nights and 1 day. And then on the Saturday he was still dead. And then on the Sunday, which is Easter Sunday, he was resurrected and came back to life. This is why Easter is celebrated. Easter also falls between the 25th of March and the 25th of April. The Christian calendar, though normally would follow the solar calendar, the sun, on the Easter it follows the moon, which Muslims throughout the year, our Ramadan, our Eid, all our months follow the lunar calendar, the moon. But for the Christians and for the non-Muslims, many times, especially the Christian faith, is the solar calendar. But when it comes to Easter, they follow the birth of the new moon. So after the 21st of March, every year, when the new moon is born, then the Friday that comes first will become the Good Friday, or as they believe, the crucifixion or the death of Isa alayhi salatu wassalam. Pre-Islamic times, pre-Isa alayhi salatu wassalam times, people used to also celebrate, not necessarily Easter, but they used to celebrate spring coming. And what used to happen is people used to think that autumn and winter is the time of death, where the trees lose their blossom, very cold wintry nights, snow, and the days are dull. And they deem that to be death. In summer, we find it's, even now, we find it's very sunny throughout the day, longer days. The trees are becoming blossomed again. The paths are becoming green again, and they believe that to be rebirth, or the birth of the seasons. And what used to happen in pre-Christian Saxon times, people used to commemorate and celebrate the birth of season through summer, sorry, it's the spring season. And they used to have a goddess called Easter, which are very much still believed in the German linguistical books. I'm still talked about Easter. And Easter was a female goddess at the pre-Christian Saxon times. And what people used to do is, because it was summer, sorry, spring, the trees are blossoming again, it's nice and sunshine, it's longer days, they used to have feasts. And they used to sacrifice animals for this female goddess called Easter. And this used to happen after the birth of the new moon, after the 21st of March, which we find very similar the Christian faith follows. The hare or the rabbit was also sacrificed, and the eggs will be given as gift to this goddess Easter. And hence the association with the Christian faith after the Saxon times to the egg, and the egg resembles the rebirth or the birth of spring, or the rebirth of Isa alayhi salatu wassalam. So this was in the early pre-Isa alayhi salam, pre-Christian times. And as times came along, and even at the time of Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, which was 600 and a few years before the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Isa alayhi salatu wassalam found people to be practicing in this sacrificial ceremony where they would sacrifice animals for this goddess Easter. Later on in the early 18th century, a person by the name of Jacob Grims, who was also from a very paganistic background, linked the religion or the festivity of Easter, especially the commemoration of the Easter eggs, to his goddess called Ostara. Later on we find the German Christians, in the early German Christians, who were celebrating very similar, these pre-Isa alayhi salatu wasalam activities, and they linked it to their own religion, and they named this event Easter after the goddess Easter, Osterei. Only for the past 30 years do we find the new invention or the new activities of chocolate Easter eggs. But what used to happen as well with the Easter eggs is, even now in Iran and in the Persian Gulf, we will find that the people, they use eggs, and they boil the eggs, and they pattern these eggs. And what used to happen, again before Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, the Zoroastrians, the fire worshippers, they used to get eggs and they used to paint these eggs in the celebration of Nowruz. And Nowruz was again the spring festivities of the fire worshippers. And Nowruz, if you go into some of the museums in Iraq, in Iran, and there's a very famous museum by the museum called, or the wall of Persepolis, we will find these Easter eggs drawn, and they're very colourful, and you'll find people are taking these toward the king, who was the emperor of the Persian kingdom. So you see very, very clearly these are indicatives towards non-Muslim and paganistic approach. Let's quickly move on. So we know now that Easter has been derived from the goddess Osterei. We find that before it used to be fresh eggs, and the belief was again around the spring, the birth of the new season, and the beautiful trees are blossoming, and the new spring season. And then as Christians became very dominant, they linked this pre-Christian activity to their own religion, and hence became the activity and the festivity of Easter. But a stronger link to the Christian faith is this belief that Isa alayhi salatu wasalam died and was crucified on Good Friday. He passed away and remained dead on the Saturday, and he came back to life on the Easter Sunday. And this is especially why Christians celebrate this Easter. For Muslims, if this is a celebration of